Hello everyone, DM Gashbad here. I'm bringing you the third and final game from the tournament I attended recently. It was the first game in the Gotham City circuit. It was held at KublaCon over Memorial Day weekend. If you've watched my other videos, then you know how I've done, and that's cool. You can continue on. Otherwise, you may want to watch those first because I'm about to talk about how my crew has been doing. Like I said, this is game 3. This is the third and final game. I'm using my Brave and the Bold crew you see here. It's led by Arrow, the TV version. He has his sidekick Flash, also from the TV. He has Diggle. We have emptied out Queen Consolidated warehouses in order to give him all the equipment. He's got riot gear, he's got the grapple gun, he's got a whistle, and he's got an extra magazine for his handgun. We have QRT-1 with his riot gun. We have Arkham Guard 3, also with the riot gun. And we have Gotham Policeman. He is equipped with a whistle. So in the previous 2 games, my crew has gone against the 2 other players in the tournament. The third player is the tournament organizer who is standing in as a ringer. Anyway, I've won both of my games, which means that the third game is going to be against the ringer, and it's going to be an automatic win. It's basically a bye. So since I got 2 wins, I know I'm going to win the tournament. No one's going to have a record as good as me, so hooray! Arrow wins. But moving on, the last game is against Tony, the sidekick for the California area, who's running the tournament. I want to thank him for that. I think he did a great job. He is bringing his Brave and the Bold crew, and he is bringing Nightfall Batman to lead them. So that's the Asbats. That's Azrael impersonating Batman after Batman done got his back broke and he's laid out. So anyway, this is kind of like Team Night. So he's got Nightfall Batman, Nightwing, the new resin version, and we have Jason Blood, also known as Etrigan the Demon. So he's going to start off as Jason Blood, and maybe sometime he's going to turn into a demon. We'll find out about that. So that's cool. That's the first time that I'm going to be facing a magic user, and it's a little bit of a pressure off knowing that I'm going to count as a win going up against one of these guys. So we'll see how that goes. He also has a detective. He has an additional magazine for his handgun. He has Gotham Policeman. He is given the whistle. He is also given, I believe, the undercover skill. It's possible he got that through a strategy. I'm not sure. And he also has the skill Fast, so he gets an extra 2 inches of movement around. He also has Gotham Police Woman, and that's it. Here we see the table after everything has been laid out. Again, this is my board that I brought along to the tournament. You can see that I made a new structure in the upper right. We also used the same table in the last game, but you know, I didn't bring it up. I'm bringing it up now because I feel good about that thing. So all the urban furniture has been placed, all the objectives have been placed, and I should mention that we are playing the looting scenario. So I'm reasonably familiar with the looting scenario. I like this one a lot. It brings everyone into the middle for a big fight, and you get into the action right away. So the looting scenario is the one where you have these 2 center strips, and all your objectives go there. You kind of have to cross over your opponent's objective area in order to get to your own. But the long story short is that all your objectives are in the middle, across the board, and you get bonus victory points for claiming 2 of your objectives at the end of the round before your opponent does. So here's my right-hand deployment zone. On the left, we have QRT-1, the guy with the riot shotgun. We have Oliver Queen, my leader. To his right is John Diggle, and off on the far right is Arkham Guard number 3. They are deployed opposite where the majority of the objectives are stationed. Over on the other side of my deployment zone, on the far left, we have Gotham Policeman. I have something particular in mind for him, but it got kind of changed up at the last moment because my opponent deployed one of those safe boxes right in front of him, so we may have to change what he's going to do. And in the middle of that under construction skyscraper, we have TV's Flash. Here's looking down my opponent's deployment zone. So on my left, that far side, he has his Gotham Policeman. That's the guy with Fast, and he's moved up, he's undercover. He also has a whistle. So behind that new girder structure, we have the resin Nightwing, and you can just barely see him. That's Asbats over there. And over on the far left of his deployment zone, so it's the far right of my deployment zone, we have Jason Blood and Gotham Policewoman. It's time to begin, and so we draw a counter from the Bag of Destiny. I'm going to go ahead and take the lead in the first turn, which is not what I want. I feel like in the beginning there's going to be a lot of move, counter move, and I know I'm going to get some bad activations. I know I'm going to move someone that I'd rather have hold back, and so I I give the first turn to him. I really want him to commit and then me to counter that. Even though I know there's going to be some things where he's going to be able to hold back something I'd really rather him not. But before all that happens is the Speed Force phase. So I feel that Barry Allen's going to have a lot to do, so I'm going to use probably Speed Force level 2, I'm guessing, as well as Fast Combo and Muscle Growth. I think he's going to get into the action right away. He's also basing that safe objective right now. It's the beginning of the first turn, and he has to roll to see if Jason Blood turns into the demon. And he is very pleased that that happens immediately. He needs an 11 plus in order to do it. So Jason Blood disappears and Etrigan the Demon shows up. Now I don't really know much about this character at all. I mean, I have read some comics with him in it, but I don't really know if I want to face Jason Blood or if I want to face the demon. So I don't have a choice, really. The demon showing up, I'm going to be facing him. I think, oh, well, that's cool. He's probably a weaker magic user, a stronger fighter. No, it turns out he's actually a better magic user and a better fighter. I probably would have been better off facing Jason Blood for a while, but this is the guy we get. That is fine. Let's see what he has to offer. So anyway, when he appears, he gets to appear somewhere within 4 inches of Jason Blood. Jason Blood goes away, Etrigan shows up, so he gets kind of a little bonus move at the beginning of the game. And here I am caught out. I have not dealt with people with whistles often enough. I was not paying attention, and Gotham Police Man has a whistle, and so he moves up to my medical supplies there in the center of the board, and he whistles Flash. Now, that's a big problem. So now I can't use movement counters to dodge, I can't use movement counters to move, and I'm +1 defense. So I go from defense 5 to defense 4. So I know this is a big problem immediately because I rely on Flash's movement. And this is the kind of thing that I do to my opponents all the time. See Game 1 if you want an example of that. But I'm just going to have to deal with it because I wasn't paying close enough attention to who had a whistle. I certainly could have avoided this by using the Speed Force phase to move Flash somewhere else or to redeploy or just not jump forward so much, but I did not. Anyway, you can see he has also moved into contact with my medical supplies. So I still want him to move some of his important pieces before I move some of my important pieces. So I'm going to start with Gotham Policeman over there. I had this brilliant idea I wanted to do. I wanted to wait until Jason Blood moved forward, and then I wanted to activate Gotham Policeman. I swear, I'm going to do this strategy, this tactic at some point, and it's totally going to catch someone out, and it's going to be awesome. So anyway, I wanted to activate him, use his flashlight, his lantern, and then hop him into a sewer within 2 inches of where I think Jason Blood is going to show up. So I want Jason Blood to move up, I want to activate my lantern, show up in a sewer, and then I'm going to illuminate that guy, and I'm going to light him up with whoever's standing nearby. But at the end, I kind of think, you know, all I've got really around where Etrigan's going to show up, and he's right in the position for me to do this. I mean, he's going to be passing by that sewer. But the only person I have with a line of sight is the Arkham Guard 3 with his beanbag gun. And I figured that's just really not going to do that much. I mean, putting a couple of stun, probably 2 stun on the demon early in the game, that's not really going to have the result I want. If I had Arrow over there, then it would have been a different story, but I wanted Arrow more central so that he can inspire people on the first round. So I abandoned that plan, and I just had Gotham Policeman move up. He's going to base that safe, and he's going to crouch. Now, the thing about my deployment is that my opponent deployed first, and I saw him, or he took his half of his guys and put those down first. And I noticed that he had spread his guys across the board. So that told me that he is going for his objectives. He's going to try and jump on 2 of his objectives very early in the game. He's going to get those bonus points, and I do not want that to happen. I really want to be the one to claim those bonus points. So I tried to counter that and spread all my guys across the board too, in order to contest those objectives. I'm not sure if that's a great idea because 1 for 1, his guys are probably better than mine. I'm probably better keeping my guys clustered up and helping each other out. So this might be a benefit early on and then a hindrance later. We'll find out. Anyway, he's going to activate his detective next, and his detective he's undercovered himself a little bit forward. He's got a line of sight to Flash through that doorway, so he takes out that little handgun and bang, 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 and this, you know, that's really too bad because Flash can't dodge because he's distracted by the whistle. He's busy saying, no, I'm a good guy. Detective is actually going to hit him, and he's going to land a blood stun on Flash, which hurts a little bit because I'm used to him dodging bullets all day long. But he takes the damage here. Anyway, Detective goes and follows up and moves into contact with that safe opposite my Gotham policeman. So they're kind of hiding out from each other on opposite sides of this objective. So neither of us are going to score victory points for this, but that works just fine for the time being. I also think it was a good idea in the looting scenario for my opponent to use safes, because then he gets 2 objectives, he gets to spread those out, and it's harder for me to guard all of them. So again, I don't want to activate some of my bigger hitters, so I'm going to activate QRT1. He's going to move up, and he's going to move into base contact with my opponent's loot. That's going to score me some victory points. As I figured, the next person to go is Gotham Police Woman. She's just going to move straight forward. So my cool master plan of setting a trap for Etrigan with the lantern and all that didn't work out, or I just sort of gave up on it because it was kind of dumb. So I'm going to activate Arkham Guard 3. I got to activate somebody. He's going to move up, and he's going to take a shot on the move at Gotham Police Woman. He's going to miss, which is too bad. But you can see that little white die there. I have marked out how far I think Etrigan can go in his turn. I don't want to be in base-to-base contact with him because I think those claws can be nasty. Honestly, the claws really for this guy are the least of my problems. The problem is the magic. And here comes the magic. Etrigan is going to move up. He's not quite able to make it into contact with that Titan container, which is good news for me. But he does get to unload all of his mystical abilities on the people nearby him. He's going to go and cast Eldritch Bolt on the Arkham Guard, so that is going to hand, I believe, 2 blood on him. He gets a knockdown with that as well. He also goes and uses Black Pain on Arkham Guard and QRT1. This is kind of a cool ability. He gets to choose 2 people within so many inches, and he gets to cast Black Pain on them, and they make an endurance roll, and if they fail, they take, I think, 3 stun, and they're also -1 willpower in the next turn. Anyway, that's too much damage for Arkham Guard to take, so he is immediately KO, and of course, my QRT1 also takes that damage and is minus willpower in the next turn. So that was a pretty good opening salvo from the demon. I'm going to activate John Diggle next. John Diggle is going to use his grapple gun, and he's going to move forward and claim my ammo objective. And since he's sitting on that ammo right now, there's no reason not to just take a shot at Gotham Police Woman. He manages to hit and land 1 blood and 1 stun on her. And then Nightfall Batman shows up. Nightfall Batman grapples or bat claws forward right up there, basing that safe box and looking directly at Flash. He can't quite get into base contact with him, but he is definitely in flamethrower range, so he pulls out the flamethrower, and it's bad news. So I can't dodge. I'm just going to take that blood damage, and I get set on fire. So I don't have any movement counters, or I can't use my movement counters to set out that flame, so I'm going to take more damage next round, and suddenly Flash is in a lot of trouble. Oliver Queen is going to activate next. He is going to use his hook arrow and swing over to that Titan container. That's my Titan objective in the middle of the table. So that means I am controlling 2 objectives right now. I don't see anyone that can really take those away from me. I'm going to, on the move, I'm going to fire off an arrow at Gotham Police Woman. I want to start evening out the numbers here as fast as I can. So he goes and shoots a standard arrow at Gotham Police Woman. Unfortunately, the shot is pinged. I'm outside of that 8-inch shooter range for him. So she doesn't take any damage, and I'm down an arrow, but that is okay. Arrow is also going to pull a Titan dose. Nightwing is going to go next. Nightwing jumps onto the 2nd level of that construction structure, and he is going to fire his wingdings at Arrow. Arrow is out of movement counters. He's not going to be able to dodge. Nightwing manages to hit once. It doesn't end up wounding, but Arrow does take the 1 stun from the Just a Scratch. And here's an interesting situation. So what I really want is I want TV's Flash to move around Nightfall Batman. I want to get into contact with my medical supplies, and I want to go beat up that cop with a whistle, because that guy's going to be a consistent problem for me. The problem is I'm in this narrow hallway in that under construction skyscraper, and Asbats is right in the middle, sort of blocking everything. Now, I can't spend movement counters, and Flash is not an acrobat. If I was an acrobat, then this wouldn't be a problem. I could either jump without spending a movement counter, or I could just move straight through them, because acrobats can move through other models without penalty. But I don't have any of those things. So what I do have is I have the ability to climb along walls without penalty. So I wasn't sure I could do this. So I talked to my opponent, and we decided that it was probably okay. What I did was I ran Barry Allen up the wall and around Nightfall Batman, and then came out the other side. Barry Allen still has a ton of movement. I get to move 8 inches around without spending any movement counters. So I've got all the movement in the world to do this. The question was, can you climb along something horizontally? Or is it just vertical movement? And we just had a quick conversation, and we decided that he probably could. I went and reread the rules later, and it's not 100% clear, but I feel that we probably did this right, because the rules say that when you make a climb movement, you add up both the horizontal and the vertical movement. I'm not sure that that's what they intended to say, that you can kind of climb sideways along a wall, but from the wording, I think what we did was justified, so I think we're okay. In any event, it's totally something that the Flash would do, would be, I want to get away from the scary guy, and I'm just going to run up along the wall, sort of Quicksilver style, and get to the other side. Now, him going over and with his fast combo and muscle growth totally beating up the cop that's been whistling at him, that's not something you see so much in the TV show or the comics, but that is what I do. So I unload on Gotham Policeman, I KO him, so I'm going to get the points for knocking out him. I don't have to deal with his whistle next round, as long as he doesn't wake up. And I also claim those medical supplies, so I have claimed all 3 of my objectives in this round. I get a lot of victory points. Now, remember, Flash is still on fire, so at the end of this, I'm still going to take damage. I'm going to get another fire counter, which isn't great. So he's in a lot of trouble. But short term, we're doing pretty well. And it is helped by the fact that at the end of this round, Arkham Guard 3 wakes up. So I pass his endurance roll, and he's ready to rock again, with 1 health remaining. So it's the next round, and my opponent takes the lead, which is a bit of a problem. So job number 1 for Barry Allen is to stay alive. I use the Speed Force phase to just get away from there. I use Speed Force level 1, Speed Force level 2. I don't worry about muscle growth or fast combo or anything like that. I want to get out of dodge because he is hurt. He does use some of his Speed Force counters to heal 1 blood damage. Also this round, I'm going to use Arrow's Titan. But my opponent has brought the I Am the Night strategy. That's the one where Batman gets to disappear and reappear within 6 inches or so. So as Bats, I Am the Night's closer to Barry Allen. He's going to take the lead, and he immediately activates as Bats and runs over and just knocks Barry Allen on the side of the head. Now, I did learn something from the old tournament I had, which is you can spend movement counters at any time to get rid of those fire counters. So as soon as the turn starts, I use 2 of Barry Allen's movement counters to get rid of those fire counters, and then Azrael comes in and just knocks him on the back of the head, and Flash is KO, giving my opponent a nice 2 victory points. So the nice thing about Batman is even if in one area of the board you have someone has gotten the jump on you, there's usually an opportunity someplace else to counterpunch. So Diggle is going to activate, and the first thing he is going to do is he's going to fire 3 shots at Gotham Policewoman. I think he actually rolls really badly on this. I think he hits with all 3 shots, but I think 1 is pinged away, and then I roll a triple 1. To wound, and so all I do is the 2 stun for 2 justice scratches. That does actually KO Gotham Policewoman, but it wasn't the best roll in the world. But that's okay, because what I really want to do is I want to move him off my ammo objective, and I'm going to get within 8 inches of Nightwing, and I'm going to whistle him. So how do you like that? So now he doesn't get any movement counters, and Arrow is feeling a lot better about his position. But now Etrigan gets to move up. Etrigan is going to move forward into base contact with QRT-1, and he is going to fire an Eldritch Bolt at Arrow, which thankfully gets pinged away due to all those oil drums and pallets and things. Even better, he goes and fails to cast Black Pain. He needs kind of a 7 on this, I believe, so it's not really a for sure thing. Anyway, he fails, and so he is -1 attack and defense. and then he goes and tries to claw at QRT1, and he fails to do any hurt to that guy as well. So that was actually about as good a round as I could hope against Etrigan there. He did not do much damage at all. So that gives me a big opportunity. I'm going to take Arrow, and Nightwing is standing right there, and he is +1 to hit, and he cannot dodge right now. He's also within 8 inches of Arrow, which means that even though he's kind of hiding behind that girder, he is not going to get any pings because I have the shooter skill. So I'm going to take out my serrated arrow because I really want to put a lot of damage on this. I'm not going to get a better shot than right now. And he's going to fire at him. He's going to hit all 3 times, doesn't get any pings. And I'm not only going to do all 6 blood, but I am again going to get that crit, that 6 on the collateral die to do an extra damage. So just like I did in game 1, Arrow goes and one-shots a 7 endurance model, just pew pew pew. And so Nightwing is KO with 6 blood and 1 stun. Nightwing, you have failed this city. So it's my opponent's activation next. He's going to activate his detective, and he's just going to stay there. He doesn't really want to move around. He is happy playing hide and seek with my Gotham policeman. I'm going to activate QRT1. He's going to go ahead and take a swing with the butt of his rifle at the demon. It is blocked. He's got some defense dice. So I am just going to move away. I don't have, because I'm down willpower because of his spell from last round, I don't have the counters to go and pick up that loot, but I do trade places with Diggle, and I'm going to control my ammo objective instead. My next activation is going to be Arkham Guard number 3, because he has currently got 4 damage on him, and he has been hit by Black Pain. He is down 3 willpower, so he only has 1 counter to play with right now, and so all he can do is just stand up and then move forward. He's just creeping towards Gotham policewoman over there. Well, the detective is already activated, and even though this is something I really rarely do, I'm going to have Gotham Policeman go be a hero. He's actually got some attack counters, even though his weapon just doesn't really do much of anything. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to base that detective, and I'm going to try and bonk him on the head. I do. I get 1 stun through, which is about as well as you can hope for, but we'll see how this contest of champions goes. And at the end of the round, I am very pleased that Flash wakes up. So he makes his endurance roll, and he is back up with not much health to spare. So it's the next round. We draw the Bag of Destiny, and my opponent takes the lead again, which is bad news for Flash. Now, here's another discussion that we had. I am unclear as to whether models can spend Speed Force counters when they're knocked down. The rules say you can't do anything when you're knocked down that has an activation cost, but they don't really say what an activation cost is. Is it something you do when you're activated? Is it something that costs counters from your willpower? Is it any kind of counters like Speed Force or Magic or something like that? We think that he probably can use the Speed Force counters. I'm less sure about this one. I know there's an argument saying that you can still use magic. I mean, before the FAQ, there was an argument saying you can still use magic when you're knocked down. I am unclear as to what the right answer is. I don't think it's really going to matter that much. I do consider trying to get Flash away, but since I still take the movement penalties for moving away, I'm not going to be able to get very far, even with my Super Speed 1 and 2. So all I do is I use some Speed Force counters to heal, and some Speed Force counters to give me the molecular control, which gives me the Kevlar rule. It does have a paradox on that one. I roll it thinking that there's actually some results on that paradox table that could really actually get me out of this bad situation. I don't fail the paradox roll, and so he's okay. He's not obviously great, but that is what we do. But he does not activate Azrael right away, and I find out why immediately. Instead, the demon is going to activate, and I did not know, I didn't bother to find out, that he has the breathes fire rule. So he gets to take out that flame template and just hose fire all over 3 of my guys. He shuffles around a little bit to get into position, so he breathes fire on QRT1, and that just takes him out. QRT1 just doesn't have the damage left, so he's out of the game. He damages Diggle. Diggle fortunately has movement counter, so he can put himself, he can put out the fire. And also Arrow. Arrow is on fire. Arrow was worried that Etrigan was going to move forward and start clawing him, so I had his counters in defense. I had nothing in movement, which isn't great. So yeah, Arrow is on fire and taking damage. Etrigan is now going to cast Black Pain. He's going to target both Diggle and Arrow. Arrow manages to pass his endurance roll. Unfortunately, Diggle does not, so Diggle's going to go ahead and take 2 stun from that because, of course, he has that Kevlar Vest rule. This is kind of keeping him in the fight, taking off 1 damage from all these little spells and fire abilities and stuff like that. If I'm not crazy, he probably used Eldritch Bolt to finish off QRT1. I'm not 100% sure, though. But that gives me the opportunity to get Flash up and moving. So Flash is going to stand up and he's going to run away from Asbats as fast as he can. Because, again, my primary concern is that this guy stays alive. And standing up is important because now instead of defense 2, I'm defense 5. I've got some defense counters stocked up. So we're going to try and run away. I know Asbats has enough movement to get me, though. It's not easy to run down the Flash, but he has the movement to do it. He activates his detective next, and he's going to go and shoot at my Gotham policeman with his handgun. Gotham policeman is a champ. He does take 1 shot, and he gets 1 blood and 1 stun, but he's still in there. And I get to activate Arrow. Nightwing actually woke up the round before. He passed his endurance, so he is conscious with 1 stun remaining. I don't really want to deal with him anymore. I'm going to take my Flash Arrow because all I need to do is 1 blood to this guy, and so all I need to do is land 1 wound on Nightwing, and I'm going to take him out. So I fire 3 Flash Arrows, the concussion arrows, at Nightwing. I managed to do the hits. I managed to do the wound. Nightwing is off the board, and Arrow executes another superpower. Yeah, sure enough, Azrael comes in and he bonks Flash on the back of the head some more. Flash is still staying in there. He is not off the table yet. He is not casualty. He takes some more blood stun, but he falls unconscious again. But he's not out, so I'm saving myself some victory points there. Arkham Guard sees nothing more useful he can do with his time than to move forward and arrest Gotham policewoman. Sorry, you're a corrupt cop. Clearly you're hanging out with all these scary monsters, and that's not what cops are here for, lady. Diggle activates next, and there is a big fire-breathing monster behind him. So I am going to use my last ammo. I'm going to shoot at the demon. Demon gets -1 ping. And his defense is not great. It's only 3, so I'm going to hit him all 3 times. He's not going to ping any of them, and I'm going to wound him all 3 times. Even though he has a -1 to damage, I'm still damaging him on 3+, so it's not hard. So I'm going to hand 3 blood and 3 stun to Etrigan the Demon, and now he is just barely hanging on. He has 1 health left, and suddenly I'm feeling a lot better about this fight. He's going to move over to that ammo container. Now, of course, we are using the FAQ, and Diggle has the whistle. I haven't been able to get the jump on the demon yet in order to whistle him to keep him from using his magic, but that is definitely in the cards for later turns. Hey, and here we have this fight over there. Gotham policeman, he's mad at this guy shooting him, so he's really going to go crazy with that baton, and he's going to get a crit, a double 6 crit, so he's going to get the knockdown, he's going to get the extra damage, he's going to hand 2 stun to that detective, so he's doing great, man. It's nice to see Gotham policeman as a damage dealer right here. He may well still get shot down eventually, but right now it's looking amazing. So we go into the Bag of Destiny and we take out another counter, and I get the lead this round, which is fantastic, and so my opponent just calls it. He does not have very many victory points at all. I've been racking up a fair amount here and there. I think he only has 6 victory points right now. He was looking to see who would take the lead in the next round, because if he got it, then there's the chance that Etrigan can go and do a lot more damage in the middle. But since I got the lead, the odds are that he is going to get sunk by the SS Diggle. He's going to get whistled and then shot. I only need to do 1 damage to knock him out, and even if I don't, he's already used his once per game fire, and he's not going to be able to use his magic because he'll be whistled. So that's the end of the game. That was really neat. I was kind of feeling like I was on the ropes there a little bit, but I did stick to the objectives, and I was getting victory points, and my guys were really hanging in there, doing the damage. Obviously, getting the drop on Nightwing, whistling him, and then getting that just awesome shot from Arrow. Man, did he have a good game. That just one-shotting someone for 7 damage is just amazing. And so I'm really proud of him. Overall, I think I'm really proud of all the crew. I took on these kind of scary newer models that I hadn't faced before, and they came out okay. I don't know if people have the funding to make the fully tooled up John Diggle in their crews, but he's really good. Through all 3 games, I didn't lose Arrow or Diggle, and only in this last game did Flash get beat up. I obviously put him in a bad position. He was just in a bad spot. He was kind of in a bad spot in game 2 as well, and that's kind of the thing about Flash, is he can be untouchable in the right circumstances, but in the wrong circumstances, he's real vulnerable. Even so, though, you really kind of need to finish him off right away, because if he's able to still get up and run away, he can run away better than most models out there. And, of course, the ability to heal is real important as well. So he can kind of preserve those final victory points by staying out of the fight. So that was another fun game. I'm really glad I got to play against those new models. That was cool. Tony's a great opponent as always. And thanks to Tony for running the whole tournament. Again, it was a drag that a bunch of people dropped. But this is a fun game, and hopefully it'll be bigger next year. And we'll see how it progresses along the rest of the Gotham City circuit. I'm probably not going to be at many of these other events simply because of the distance involved. But because I won this tournament, even though, you know, luck and attendance had a lot to do with that, as always. Yeah, DM Gashbad, #1 producer of undeserved wins on the Batman Miniature Game. But that does mean that I get a free registration to the California Championship game, which I think happens in November. And, of course, we had all this prize support, which is basically divided up amongst 3 people. So it wasn't like the person who got first place got, like, 80% of everything, and the last people got like a little bit. I think I probably came out with a little bit more, but honestly, it looked like we just sort of divided everything up more or less evenly, which I think is a great way of doing it. And so I just walked away with a huge pile of stuff. I got another game mat, I got another TT Combat building, plus the rooftop accessories, which I'm really excited about. You know, get the more of the cityscape look. I've got my industrial boards coming along, so I'm happy about those, but I would obviously like more buildings, and I got some of that. I got a lot of Batman animated stuff, which I think is kind of hilarious. So I got the animated Batman and the Black Canary and that sort of thing. So maybe you'll see some of those goofballs in a later battle report when I get those painted. Just a ton of things, and so I want to thank our sponsors and encourage people to show up to these events, because it's a good time and it's a good haul. So, thank you guys for watching. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, leave those below, and I will see you on the next one.